Good day, family. This is video number 9 in our series, The Tongue. Up to this point, we focus primarily on personal formation, how our words shapes our hearts, our habits, and spiritual maturity. Now we turn outward because Scripture makes this clear. Words don't just form individuals, they shape relationships, environments, and cultures. And nowhere is that more evident than in leadership. Whether we hold a formal title or not, our words are influencing someone. In leadership, words create culture. Culture is not created by mission statements alone. Those are important. However, culture is created by repeated language. What leaders praise gets repeated. What leaders ignore gets tolerated. And what leaders speak consistently shapes how people think, act, and respond. Scripture recognizes this influence. Consider with me Proverbs as it speaks to tone and direction. I think of Proverbs chapter 16 and verses 21. Scripture says, "The wise in heart shall be called prudent, and the sweetness of the lips increaseth learning." Notice that wisdom is not only connected to knowledge, it's connected to speech. Sweetness of the lips increases learning. In other words, how truth is spoken affects how truth is received. Leaders don't just convey information, they set tone. Let's consider the power of repeated words. Words spoken once may inspire, but words spoken consistently form culture. Encouraging words create safety. Harsh words create fear. Clear words create confidence. Unclear words create anxiety. Scripture never treats leadership speech as casual because people are listening more closely than you and I actually realize. Consider with me James and how James speaks of influence and accountability as it pertains to teachers. James reminds us of the weight of influence in James chapter 3 and verse 1. There he warns that teachers will be judged more strictly. And that warning isn't about fear. It's not to put fear in the hearers. It's more about responsibility. Influence multiplies the impact of words. The more influence we have, the more carefully Scripture calls us to speak. We ought to consider Jesus and the words that shape people. Jesus modeled leadership through words consistently. John chapter 6 and verse 63. Jesus says it this way, "The words that I speak unto you, they are spirit and they are life." That suggests to me that Jesus understood that words do more than instruct. They impart. They shape belief, identity, and direction. Leadership speech always does more than we intend. Leaders normalize behavior through words. If sarcasm is common, cynicism grows. If gratitude is expressed, appreciation grows. If correction is harsh, people hide. If correction is thoughtful, people grow. Words don't just respond to culture, they establish it. Now let me share with you a core truth. Leaders shape culture long before policies ever do. They do that primarily through their words. Tone teaches, language leads. Can I give you 3 questions to consider for leaders? Here are 3 questions that Scripture invites leaders to ask themselves. Question number 1. What do my words consistently emphasize, fear or faith? Question number 2. Do my words make people feel seen and valued, or guarded and cautious? Question number 3, am I shaping culture intentionally or unintentionally? These questions help us see the influence of our speech clearly. I want to put this in your mind. Leadership is stewardship. Leadership is stewardship, and speech is one of the most powerful tools God places in a leader's hands. Scripture calls leaders not just to lead with vision, but to lead with wisdom and words. Here's a word of application. Let me leave you with this. A few questions for you and I to ponder on. What kind of culture do my words create where I have influence? Are people more encouraged or cautious after hearing me speak? And am I asking God to shape not just my leadership, but my language? Those questions help us align influence with faith. In the next video, we'll talk about the difference between words that heal and words that harm, and why Scripture calls us to discern the effect of our speech in relationships. Because leadership doesn't only move people forward, it shapes how safe they feel along the way. And this is what it means to be formed to fight. Thank you so much for spending time with me.